So to be honest, I'm not sure exactly what else should be sort of cleaned up now in order to make this any better at this point of the implementation. Certainly, like, we're not handling posts. I'm not interested in adding features right now. I don't have a test for parsing the request. Oh, I did want to do this. This was something that I hinted at before. Where parse request, I wanted to make it generic over this sort of type. And let's just see if I can do that. So we're going to keep what we had before and make this lines is going to be I'm going to do this with generics because I think I have to do the inner types in generics. So we're going to have lines be IntoIterator item of S, and S is abstract. Yeah, it looked at what I was saying. And now we just have to say lines in, let's do it here. Let lines equal lines into iter. Lines.first is still, oh, that's kind of mutable. Probably do lines.next, yeah. And then we're going to parse AsRef. So now that's an @stir. So our parse now is going to be changed because we never want to pass in a reference to a string. At best, we want this, not at best. It's better to do that. So now we can continue to iterate through that. Find that line. Line. I want to change this. We're going to take off that AsRef into IntoIterator, and we're going to, I think we can map that. This might give us an error because we don't, yeah, we're returning a reference to that. Don't do it that way. AsRef here, that's our first line, and it's a reference to that. And here we have to call line AsRef to get that out, and we have to do that here as well. So here, temporary is freed at the end of this statement. Consider let binding sorry. I think this is what we have to do to fix that. Good. Okay. We see all of our tests are passing, so I'm happy with that. Let me talk about what is being done here. So this is what it was before. It took a very specific type, an array. So it must be linear in memory array of strings, a container type. And the better way to do this is through generics that look like this. So lines is going to be something that can be turned into an iterator of something, where each item is this, which is another generic type, and the other generic type is something that can provide a reference to a string, or can provide a string reference is a better way of saying that. This matches this statement here. So does a lot of other things. Any sort of thing that provides something that can be iterated through, that the thing that it is iterating, or the item that it's iterating, can give me a string reference. The levels of inception that we're going down here is a little insane. But this when you understand what can be done here, and again, it's not because we want to be able to parse this differently. It's that, like, this is the most generic thing, and does it require a level of like understanding? Yes, that's okay. I want my developers to be able to see this as a pattern where, like, what they're recognizing is this is something that can turn into an iterator, and the stuff is going to provide me this. I know what that is, and we don't have to go through the levels of inception. This becomes a first level inception understanding. The other thing I wanted to fix then is that the call to parse here. Right now, we were taking a reference to a string. We changed it to this, but we can actually then turn this into something that can parse anything that can provide an AsRef stir. And we're gonna decompose that right away. But now this is even more generic. It doesn't help us out, but now we can actually pass in just first line straight away like that. Again, we didn't do that to make that happen, but that this is, when we're writing, especially sort of utility libraries and stuff like that, this is the most generic thing that will satisfy the needs of parse. It's just phenomenal how that works. Now, like, how might I change this? Well, not change this, but use this. Like, if I were writing tests for the parse, this is the only. Rabbit hole I want to go down, I think. So fn test parse request. The lines I'm going to give it are an array, and the first line is going to be that. That's just going to be it, you know. And we're going to parse request, and we're going to assert that res is okay. And, you know, we pass. And actually, we want to do this. So, you know, parse request says that there must be one valid line. So, test parse request with no lines. And I wonder if I can do this. Is there an empty? Standard iter empty. No. Does that work? Because it doesn't know what it is. Empty : stir. I don't know what the pattern is going to be for doing that. Basically, I'm trying to construct a container. What if I do this? This is silly, but empty hash is going to be a hash. Come on, where's my hash set? My hash set, new of that. This is not how you would implement it, but like I'm now able to pass in an entirely different container, and like really a parse request expects that there's like an order to this, but not necessarily. And perhaps we take advantage of that, but I don't think so. So here, like if we say we want the error to say no request line found, that's sort of, I guess, that would be a derived requirement that says that when you don't find this, this is the error message that you have to provide. Except, I don't think this is necessary, because if there's not a line found, parse is going to, oh, nah, that's fine. Okay, so this is probably a good way to do it. So now we've tested one of these cases, a prerequisite of parse request, so that we're able to test that. So we have another test, and demonstrated, if not through a silly mechanism. I'm going to say that this is silly. We wouldn't use hash set, but wanted to demonstrate that any sort of iterable container can be passed into parse request, because it has an idea of first something. A better thing would be some sort of linked list that would be emptyable. But anyway, man, these videos get long. I'm a little long-winded today, I guess. But that was fun. I think we're in a good state with that, and I think our code is compiling clean with no errors. We have a bunch of tests. Just looking at this, I think I'm going to call this. I think we're at the point where, we could certainly deal with some of these like embedded strings that are in place. We could certainly identify what generic anyhow errors we want to perhaps turn into real errors, but kind of since we don't have any real requirements for this, the only thing I would think is in the request. Request could certainly benefit from an enumerated error, because there's very specific things that could go wrong. Yeah, that's where I would put it, but only if it were kind of required of me. Yeah, I'm going to put a pin on this with this particular code review. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of video here. I don't think it's worth it to go any further until like this expands. But to be honest, from a learning point of view, you're not gonna write your own server and compete with Axum or other frameworks like that. This is done as a learning experience. So from a learning point of view, we got to call this, and then perhaps look at something else that we can work on to be able to have not a point of diminishing returns in in the education of dissecting this and doing a code review. So this was fun. This was a lot of fun. A lot of time put into this. Originally, a lot of time to refactor this to perhaps be better. And you can always argue about better and whether or not like doing something like that is worth it. It being worth it, if you're trying to put like a value to it, like a dollar value versus like code or like implementation, you're in a losing fight. You're not going to win that on either side. So I'm not even going to entertain that. That's interesting, but cool. I think we're good. Trying to land this plane. So I'm just going to hit stop recording and upload this video. Thanks for watching.